So LabVIEW uses fonts already installed on the computer. We can use the text settings pull down menu on the toolbar to change the attributes of text. The text settings pull down menu contains many built-in fonts like application font, system font, dialog font, current font. So application font is the default font used in the controls palette. This is the application font, and the functions palette. The text is in the application font. In the context help and in the tips. Next is the system font. This is the default font used for the menu bar text and for the shortcut menus. Next we have the dialog font, which is used for dialog boxes. And for the system controls. So if we select objects or text before we make a selection from the text settings pull down menu, then the changes apply to everything we select. If we select nothing, the changes apply to the default font. Changing the default font does not change the font of existing labels. It affects only those labels we create from the point on. And the palette should be able to apply those fonts, those changes. So we can select Font Dialog from the text settings pull down menu on the front panel to apply specific font styles to text that we have selected. If we do not select any text, the panel default option contains a check mark. If we select text settings and then font dialog from the block diagram without selecting any objects, the diagram default option contains a check mark. We can set different fonts for the front panel and for the block diagram. For example, we can have a small font on the block diagram and a larger one for the front panel. When we transfer a VI that contains built-in fonts to another platform, the fonts correspond as closely as possible. We can right-click the text and select Size to Text from the shortcut menu to automatically adjust for font differences between platforms. By default, this setting is on. The text settings pull-down menu also has size, style, and if we have something selected, then justify and color submenu items. The font selections we make from any of these submenus apply to objects that we selected. For example, if we selected a new font, while we have a knob and a graph selected, the labels, scales, and digital displays all change to the new font. LabVIEW preserves as many font attributes as possible when we make a change. For example, if we select an object that uses, for example, bold and Courier font, and then we select, for example, Arial from the text settings pull down menu, the object retains the bold font attribute as bold Arial font. If we use the font style dialog box to configure selected objects, LabVIEW applies the text characteristics we select to the objects. Text characteristics include the font, size, alignment, color, and attributes. If we select one of the built-in fonts such as application font, system font, or dialog font to apply to the selected objects, LabVIEW applies the text characteristics of the built-in font to the selected object. So if we have MathScript node, and let's say we have applied some styles, for example. Let's add one more. Let's make it, let's say, strikeout. And we apply script highlighting, then LabVIEW discards any style settings that we apply. When we work with objects that have multiple pieces of text like slides, font changes we make affect the objects or text that we currently have selected. For example, if we select the entire slide and then select from text settings, let's say style bold, the scale, digital display, and the label all change to the bold font. If we select only the label, let's revert Ctrl Z, and then we select bold, only the label changes to the bold font. If we select text from the scale marker and then we apply style bold, then all markers change to a bold font. We should use standard consistent fonts to design a user interface that is easy to use.